Hi there, my name is Aaron Lanchman. I'm a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Georgia Tech, and in this video I'm going to work on exporting figures from DAZ 3D and importing them into the Unity game engine. First of all, I want to mention that if you discovered my channel for its electronics content, don't unsubscribe, don't go away. More electronics content is coming. This is a fairly diverse channel that includes programming as well, but there will be some more electronics coming, so stick around. For some years now, off and on, mostly off, I've been working on a game that uses the Michael 4 and Victoria 4 models. Now, in this latest version of DAZ Studio, it looks like the DAZ folks made it extremely confusing to find stuff. So instead of looking in DAZ Studio formats, my Victoria 4 stuff appeared in poser formats. And I don't know why I have two my DAZ 3D libraries here. One of them is empty. Anyway, in the second one, you would think I could scroll down and find V for Victoria, but that's not the case. Instead, you have to go to DAZ Figures. No, not DAZ Figures, DAZ People. Okay, and in here, I can find my Victoria 4 stuff. So I'm going to load Victoria 4.2. And let's see what we have here. I have age for V4, sure. International faces, Stephanie, elite, Rebby Sky, base morphs, creature morphs, sure. Elite morphs, morphs plus plus, muscle morphs. Basically never buy anything full price from DAZ. They have sales all the time and you'll eventually get packages with various stuffs at a reasonable rate. For instance, whenever I bought this, I did not pay anywhere near $199.95. Now, one thing I should caution you on, to use this in a game that you sell, you would need to get an interactive license to go along with it. The base license is for renders. Now, there is a level of detail system associated with the Victoria 4 model. And I'm not going to load these in here. This is going to get pretty complicated. We'll come back to this. And let's see, let's go ahead and load all of this in. All right, you might have noticed that it briefly looked like Victoria 4, but now it looks like somebody else. For some reason, the auto-loading actually sets all of the Rebby Sky parameters to be highest. So let's go into the parameters here, and let's look at the Victoria 4.2 parameters. I'm going to look up Rebby. Let's see, let's turn the body down to make the body more like the Victoria 4. Let's take the Rebby scale, and let's see, that was all for the body, and I think I need to go find the head. Where is the head? And let's see, I think I need to actually select the head and turn the Rebby head parameter down. All right, now this looks like Victoria 4. Okay, that was annoying. Let's save the scene. Wait, did DAZ just crash on me as I was trying to save? This does not seem like proper. Oh wait, no, it didn't crash. It was just acting odd. Okay, let me take a look here. Now, I don't want to just export the model because there are a lot of polygons we won't actually need. And the main reason I'm making this video is as a reminder to myself. So a year from now, when I pick up this project again and I'm working on it, I have an easier time remembering what was going on. I'm also hoping that maybe somebody familiar with DAZ scripting can help me with figuring out how to automate some of the things I'm about to do, because they're pretty tedious to do manually for a bunch of models. Okay, now I want to pull up the geometry editor. There's probably an easier way to do this, but the way I know is to go to the Window Panes menu, and then I can come down to where it says Tool Settings. Sorry, that actually went off the bottom of the screen there, at least my screen capture program, but there is a thing called Tool Settings. And then I need to make sure that I select the kind of tool I want, which is the geometry editor. And let's see. And then I can click on the object in question. Oh, I just accidentally docked that. How do I undock it? Let's see. Undock pane. Let's undock it. All right, there we go. I kind of want to put it over here without actually docking. Oh, I docked it. Oh, well, I'm not going to fight it. Let's go ahead and dock it. Now, do I need this pane entirely? Can I just get rid of this pane altogether? Can I make it go away entirely? Ah, okay, that worked. All right. So I like that. All right, now I need to click on my figure over here. Let's see, I need the selection tool. So I select the figure and, geometry editor. All right, so let's get rid of polygons we don't need. Let's see, let me close the face groups. What I want to do is get rid of surfaces that we don't need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the add button to add the surfaces we don't need to a group that we're going to delete. Yeah, that's confusing. Let's see, eyebrow we don't need, so that saves us 806 polygons. The eyebrows aren't really used, I think. Eyebrows are generally part of the actual texture on the face itself. I'm also going to assume our figures are going to be covered up. This is not an R-rated game, so I'm going to add the nipples to that list and save 606 polygons. There you go. I am going to do the same thing to the male figure. And I'm going to assume that our characters are going to keep their mouths closed. Whenever there's dialogue, I'll just do that in text, or even if there's voice acting, I just won't have the mouth moving, because even in stuff like The Witcher 3, very high quality production value games, I always find characters to be severely plunging into the uncanny valley when they talk. So mouths will stay closed. So I don't need the inner mouth, the teeth, or the tongue, or the gums. Let's see, the last thing I can get rid of here is I don't need the tear layer on the eye. So that saves some polygons. And whoops, I thought I just recorded a bit of video showing how to actually delete the polygons, but it turns out I wasn't actually recording. Anyway, where did the polygons just go? Well, you right-click in the viewport here, and control-click doesn't work. I'm on a Mac. So on my laptop, I need to actually use a two-finger click and go to geometry editing. And then you can say delete selected polygons, and that gets rid of the polygons. And I wound up, when I did that earlier, off camera, I deleted something like 13,000 polygons. So there you go. And okay, let me save that scene as V4 unneeded deleted. I should also mention that the undo function in DAZ is really iffy. In particular, all of those geometry deletes I did, you can't undo those. Or at least you couldn't in the earlier versions of DAZ that I've used before, and I haven't really tried it now, and I don't feel like trying the undo feature on it now. So let's move on to the next thing we need to do that is also a bit buggy and confusing, and that's combining surfaces. So each of these surfaces is going to import into Unity as a different material, which, unless Unity does something particularly smart, could be a different draw call. And in general, I would just like to reduce the number of materials I need to keep track of. Wait a minute, there's something here I forgot to delete. I don't need the eye socket. So let's add the eye socket to our delete group. Let's see, geometry editing, delete selected polygons. Do you want to delete these 160 polygons? Yes, and let's save. Okay, back on task. So I'm going to make sure my target group is selected to surfaces, and I'm going to choose the group we're going to combine things into, and that, to start with, is going to be the skin face. So I'm going to select the lip and the nostril, because I would like to combine those into the face, and click Assign Target Group. Notice that the lip and nostril now have 0 polygons, and the skin face now has more polygons. Let's see, the next thing I want to do is I want to take the skin neck and combine that into what's called skin head. So the neck and the head are going to be a unit here. All right, now let me take the fingernails. So I'm going to take the fingernail and combine that into the skin hand texture, which is right here. All right. And now let me take the toenail and combine it into the skin foot texture. All right, so there we go. There was a point where I was thinking, well, let's assume that our figures are always wearing shoes, so we can save polygons by getting rid of the feet. But I found that seems to confuse Unity's mechanism system. I'm not entirely sure. I had weird things happen when I did that, so let's leave the feet there. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold down the Command key and click on the lip, the nostril, skin neck, fingernail, and toenail, these surfaces that now have 0 polygons in them. And I'm going to use a 2-finger click, which is a right click basically, to remove these groups that don't have any polygons in them anymore. And if you mess up anywhere in here, it's basically impossible to fix. Undo does not really work well. All right, so let's save the scene as V4, let's call it surfaces combined. All right, another assumption that I make is we have this area covered by clothing, so we can save some polygons there. And I thought, well, we can get rid of the hip here in these surfaces, but I felt like that's taking away too much. What's interesting is if I close the surface here and I instead look at the face groups, there's a hip face group that doesn't take out quite as much. It leaves more of the leg here. So I want to use that. All right, so let's see. If I remember right, I can right click here, use geometry selection, select by face group. Let's select the hip to select those polygons. And then let's try geometry editing, delete selected polygons. That deletes 1,152 polygons. There we go. Okay, let's save as V4 no hip. And here's what a bunch of those models looks like in Unity in T-pose. I have the specular cranked up way too high. I need to turn that down. They're looking too waxy. Okay, let's export this model. So we go to File, Export, and I have a folder where I'm doing this research here, and I'll say V4 DASCare, and this is the full level of detail, so it has all of the polygons, so I'll call that DASCare underscore full.fbx. All right, so I don't know what the difference between the different years of FBX is, but I figure I might as well use the latest version. The binary option results in files that are a lot smaller than the ASCII version, so let's go with that. I have experimented with looking at the ASCII versions just to see what's in there, but there's not a lot that one could easily edit by hand. All right, so I'm going to click on Collect Textures to Folder. Now, I actually have a script in Unity that loads in all of the textures separately, and then I have a script that will let me swap out entire texture sets for a character on the fly easily. But this is a useful thing to have just to get something going when experimenting. I don't know what the rest of this is, but this is how it came set, so we'll go with that. We're exporting the figures, so I clicked on Figure. And here I also want to export the morphs. Let's click Edit Morph Export Rules. So I have a set of export rules I created that are for characters that are more specific characters that I purchased that basically just have a few expression things in them. There's not a whole lot in here. Let's see, you can look disgusted, various expressions associated with the Rebbe model, but you can apply those to other models as well. Let's see, you can inhale, eyes can squint, open, close. You can smile or frown, or you can look sad. Your eyes can dilate. You can grasp things with your thumb and hand, and you can also look pregnant. So that gives us a lot of options here. But this limited set is not what I want for the generic Victoria 4 model. For that, I want to use, let me delete all of these. For that, I actually want to use what I call the general character morph rules. And this has a lot more stuff in it. And this was the result of a lot of experimentation. So this includes the various monsters that we can create. It includes all of the variations of body shape and all sorts of stuff here. Anyway, it gives us a lot of flexibility in Unity. And one of my goals is to get out of DAZ as quickly as possible because it's a painful program to use. Okay, and let's accept that. And let's just double check that. All right, accept. And let's click accept. And we can import that into Unity now. I'll talk about that in another video. I have a custom script that looks at the material names coming in and assigns the appropriate custom shaders for the skin and for the eyes and eyelashes. But this character has a lot of polygons. Now, there are 17K and 4K poly level of detail models available associated with this, but they're kind of tricky to use here. I didn't load them in at the beginning because I found that all of the geometry editing that I've done messes all of that up. You have to do all of the geometry editing you want to do, delete whatever facets you don't want, combine whatever surfaces you want, and then at the very end, load in a level of detail, and then do the export right after that. And if you do any more editing, everything messes up. But it's even more complicated than that. So let me go up to where it says edit, and I have object, geometry, let's say add level of detail. And what I want to look for here, I think the file name is like v4_LOD. Yeah, there we go. Let's do 17K. So the OBJ import options, an important thing for it not to mess up, if I recall correctly, you have to select the poser 1 unit equals 8 feet option. All right. And then I'll say accept. Okay, we'll call that 17K LOD. And while I'm at it, let me also load in the level of detail for the 4K version of the model. So that's if you're zoomed way out, we'll use that. Let's see, I need to put this on poser again. All right, and we'll call this 4K_LOD. Okay, now over here, notice I've selected level so we can find resolution level. I put level in the search field. Here's the base, and notice if I put it on 14K, it messes up. The lips turn silver. Witness me. And part of the neck turns silver, so something weird is going on there. What about 4K? Okay, 4K, something's gone on that's strange also. So here's the thing. When I did the surface combining earlier, that confused the level of detail. So what I need to do is go into those level of detail OBJ files and hack them to change the names of different surfaces to match what I merged things into. Fortunately, I think I only have to do this once for every base figure type. So if I do this with Victoria 4, then that will work with Samantha and all of the other Victoria 4 base figures. Same thing with Michael 4. I can do it just once for Michael 4 and I'll be good. I think. I hope. Okay, so here's the directory with the LOD files. I'm going to make a copy of the 4K 4 kilo patch 1, I guess, called V4 LOD 4K, and we'll say hacked. All right. And let's make another copy, except this one is going to be for the 17 kilopatch file. Kilopatch? Kilopolygon. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so let's take a look at one of these files. There are these material flags that you'll find in various places. Oh, that's weird. There's a bunch of empty space there. Don't know what's going on. Anyway, we have 1_lip, 1_skin face. But remember, we merged the lip polygons into the skin face polygons. So we need to do some replacement. Same thing here. The nostril was merged into the face. And I think there are toenails. The toenail was merged into skin foot. So I could do that here in Visual Studio Code, but we are running a Unix-based system, so let's do it the proper Unix way. Okay, so let's make a little shell script. I'll call it LOD hackscript.sh. And I think we want to use sed. So let's use sed -i to do things in place. This will modify a file in place. And because macOS is running a BSD version of sed instead of the GNU, I think you have to put this double quote here. I should clarify, it's 2 single quotes in a row. All right. And let's see if I can remember how to use sed. Okay, so I think we do s/, let's see, so 1_lip. We're going to replace that with 1_skin face. And then I think I need to close this with a /g, and it decided to put a quote here, which I don't want there. All right, so I think if I remember right, to get the variable from the argument to a run of a shell script, we use $1. That was a terrible sentence. Anyway, all right, and then we need to keep doing that to the rest of it. So let's see. In addition to the lip, we have the nostril. Oh, and I want to be very careful. It's probably picky about capitalization because it's skin face with a capital F. All right, I really should not be doing this at 5:24 in the morning. The skin neck needs to turn into the skin head. That's oddly phrased. All right, skin neck, skin head. Oh, let me be careful here, though. This has a 2 in front of it. 2, 2. And then the fingernail. I could probably get away with not using the number underscore here, just sort of for my own reference. Okay, so the fingernail gets turned into the skin on the hand. And the last thing we have here is the toenail. And the toenail gets turned into the skin on the foot. All right, so this is a toenail. I think that's everything. So let's try this out and see what happens. Let's try sh LOD hackscript.sh, and we'll apply it to the 4K version first. Let's take a look at this 4K file, and let's look for the toenail. Wait a minute, the 4K version doesn't actually have any toenails, come to think of it. Let's look for lips. Okay, no lips. What about nostrils? No nostrils. But we do have skin of various sorts. We have face. We deleted the inner mouth from our version of it, but it's still in the LOD file, so I am expecting that. We're not deleting polygons from the OBJ file. We're just renaming them. All right, so I'm reasonably convinced that that worked. So how about let's also apply it to the 17K file. Whoop, that was opening it up in the editor. What I want to do is run the script on it. All right. Okay. Whoop. No. Wrong number changed. All right. There we go. All right. So let's look at this file now. And let's see. Do we find any toenails? Let's see. There's no toenails. Are there any fingernails? Nope, no fingernails. Are there any lips? I do wonder what's going on here. Huh. Is there some sort of corruption in here? Is it going to complain at me? Where did this come from? What is going on here? There's just a bunch of blank lines before it starts up again. I might have to investigate that later. Well, we'll load it in and see if it complains or not. Alrighty, let's go to Edit, Object, Geometry, Add Level of Detail, select an item. Okay, here's the item. Okay, let's try that again. Object, Geometry, Add Level of Detail. Alright, so now we have our hacked version. Let's add the 4K hacked version. And I have to remember to set this to poser 1 unit equal 8 foot. Add a name for the new mesh level. Okay, let's call it 4K LOD hacked. All right. And now let's load in the 17K version. We'll see if it complains. Again, I don't know what was going on with all that blank space there. That was very weird. Let's see. We're loading in the geometry, add level of detail. So we're loading in the 17K version now. And I have to remember to select not the Modo setting, sorry, the poser setting. Okay, we accept that. And this is going to be the 17K LOD hacked version. Okay, now the moment of truth. Let me go into the parameters, and there should be a level of detail parameter in here. Aha! Now if I go to 4K LOD hacked, do you see that? Here's the base. Look closely. And now if I switch to the 4K LOD, you can see that's a lower polygon version, but the textures still look right. What about 17? Oh, that's looking good. Okay, to really see that, probably I should zoom in. Let's zoom in on the face here. So zoom, 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 zoom. All right, here's the base version. There's the 17K version. That's weird. The lips look darker there. The texture should be the same. Wonder why that happens. That's very odd. All right, so here's the 17K version, and here's the 4K version. So if you're doing a cutscene and you're doing a close-up of some sort, you can use this full version. If you're a little bit pulled out more, the 17K version is fine. If you're zoomed way out and it's in a mode kind of like, I don't know, something like Pillars of Eternity or something like that, you might be using that version. So we have levels of detail. And I could go in and export these different levels of detail. Select the 4K one, export that. Select the 17K one, export that. But I'm not going to, because during the time that I had the recording paused, I did some experimenting and I discovered this 4.20 version of DAZ Studio is bugged when it comes to exporting morphs. It looks like it will export the body morphs, but not any of the face morphs. So it looks like the 4.11 version of DAZ Studio or the 4.10 version will export all of the morphs the way it should, both the body and the face morphs, but none of those will run on my M1 Mac that I'm currently using. Now, I did go back to my 2015 Mac, where I have an older version of DAZ Studio installed, and it will successfully import there. So it looks like I'm going to have to do my exporting work on that older Mac and then move it over here. What a mess. DAZ, fix your bugs. Okay, while I'm at it, let me fix the LOD files for Michael 4. So I'll do those models another time. But anyway, we'll have the 4K hacked file and the 17K hacked file. That's kilopolygons, not kilobytes or kilo whatever else's. Let's see. I'm just going to be cheap here and put that script over there. All right. This is not great software engineering practice here. Okay, let's head over there. So I'll do change directory, and a trick I sometimes do is I'll just grab a file here, drag it over here, then I'll backspace for a bit. Yes, I know there's faster ways to do all of this, but I'm a bit caveman when it comes to my Unix usage. All right, so let's do sh lod hackscript.sh, and we'll have m4 lod 4K. We'll change the 4K file. We'll do the same thing to the 17K file. All right, and let's take a look at those files. All right, so let's look for toenails, no toenails. Let's look for nostrils, no nostrils. All right, I'll believe that this worked.